Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Boxing with your host, as usual, me, Connor Knowles, and I'm here today with the one and only Gio. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good, bro. Nice to finally talk face to face. We spoke a bit on Twitter, but
Yeah,
first time face to face, man. It's been
yeah.
good.
So yeah, I just want to, as I said, let's start off with getting to know more about you because I feel like not many people know about you behind the scenes or just where you've
hmm
started from and how you've come to where you've grown today.
Okay, so obviously, it's been a long journey to get to this point. For me, for
Yeah,
those of you who don't know who I am, if you're just clicking on this video, right now I'm an editor. That's what I'm mainly sort of known for. I've worked with a lot of sort of big YouTubers throughout my sort of career as an editor, notably True Geordie. I worked with him for 4.5 years, a very prevalent person in the UK YouTube scene. And then most recently, I worked with Logan Paul from about October of 2022. So prior to that, I never really saw YouTube editing as a job because I think
yeah,
like back when I first started sort of like editing videos, YouTube editing wasn't a job. It didn't exist. And I kind of wanted to work in the film industry. So I did a college course in Blackpool, shout out Blackpool Sixth Form Creative Media Production course, one of the best sort of courses that really, help you be creative. And then I kind of just wanted to work in the film industry. And then I went to uni following that, um, did a film course at uni, which made me realize that the film industry isn't as glamorous as you'd expect it to be, and it takes a lot of time to sort of get to a high level where you have a lot of creative control. Yeah, I've got a lot of friends who work in the film industry now, and they spend a lot of years kind of just like doing sort of the I would say like the manual jobs, carrying
the boring
things and
stuff.
doing sort of the boring stuff. Exactly, all the boring stuff. And I kind of wanted to do something creative. And that was when I came to London from Blackpool. I needed to make money. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I managed to make some friends who were in the YouTube scene, like Will and
Yeah,
Ian Memulus, who just first started becoming popular around that time. And ironically, they became popular initially because they were doing sort of reaction videos to
easy
a
media.
um, BG Media, yeah, which was a grime scene that it was like a YouTube channel that got very popular in Blackpool, where I'm originally from. So I was able to sort of like put them in contact with some of the people they were sort of, reacting to,
Yeah.
notably Afghan Dan, who was the first sort of big sort of influencer, I would say, that I worked with. From that, I made a documentary with him, and then my sort of contacts grew in the YouTube scene. One thing led to another. I worked with True Geordie. We had a great sort of 4 year run, and now sort of this here's where I am working with Logan. Yeah, it's sort of been a gradual thing, but it was kind of accidental. It wasn't. I never sort of set out to become
It all
YouTube
perfectly
editor.
fell into your hands in the end. Like your hard
Yeah,
work
I mean
paid
it
off.
worked out. Yeah,
Because
I mean I'm very fortunate to be in the position I'm in now, and it kind of happens sort of naturally.
did you? I know it's a bit of a cheesy question, but did you see yourself being this successful this soon in your career? Because I know it's only 4 years, but 4 years is, I'd say, quite short, especially because I did media back in school and that, and it's really hard to get into that sort of. It takes very, very long to actually get in with that sort of thing. So, was you expecting
Yeah,
to get as successful as you are in such a short time?
interesting question. I've never really thought about this. So when I was younger, I wanted to
Yeah,
work in the film industry, and I didn't know how long it would take for me to do that. My only sort of objective was to get there. It's in some way. Um, it's a hard one to answer because I don't really know. I don't really. I never really thought to myself, okay, by 25, I want to be, doing this job or working like this. Like, because it happened so organically and so naturally, and
yeah.
almost like it was just I was on a trajectory where one thing led to the next. I never really thought of like, I need to be at this level of success at this point. So I'd say probably no. I don't know. It's a hard one.
One of those ones that it's a bit of a on the spot question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just hard because as I say, like I don't think about in the future. I don't think like I'm not a very goal oriented person. I like to set
Oh,
myself on trajectories where along the way I enjoy what I do. Every year that comes, I try to enjoy it the best I can, and every opportunity that I get, rather than being like, okay, I want to do this or I want to do that. Um, so yeah, even to this point, even like now, I don't think by 30 I want to have achieved this. So it's not really how my mind works.
speaking of goals and stuff like that, how did like do you know? Because of course you're always busy in that. Does it like mentally affect you or anything? And has there been a hard year where it's affected you the most? Not having enough time to spend with like, of course, your partner and just general family because you're like non-stop working. Is that really ever gotten to you to the point where you just want to like take a break, take a breather, and just think, spend time with family and that?
Good question. I've never been asked this before. Not really, to be honest. Like, I don't see my family as much as I'd like to. Like my sort of like close family.
Yeah,
They're all in Blackpool. I don't really go there that often. I do for sort of like Christmases and things like that. But they understand, that I'm busy and whatnot. And with FaceTime and stuff, like we're constantly keeping in
yeah,
contact, anyways. And I'm lucky enough to live with my partner. We've been together for coming up to 10 years now, and she's been with me since the start, since way before all the YouTube stuff,
um,
back when we were in high school and stuff. So
you're not on
she
your own.
yeah, exactly. I'm not on my own. So we spend more time because the thing is I work with Logan, but obviously I don't, travel out to Puerto Rico where he lives and stuff.
Yeah.
I do it all remotely. So my
Okay.
girlfriend spends my girlfriend spends 5 days over 7 at home anyways. So
Yeah.
usually like this is our office room. We're always seeing each other. So I never really get the sense of I don't feel like I spend enough time with my partner or my family or whatever. Obviously, I'd like to spend more time with my family, but your question is like, has it ever affected me mentally to the point where I needed to take a breather? Not really. I mean, there's obviously like times where we do like busy projects, and I say to my girlfriend, like, I can't wait for this to get out of the way so that we can just chill out. And like in November, we had like we was like non-stop basically after the Logan fight in
Yeah.
October.
100%.
We had all the headache with Dylan Dennis and the whole situation there, and then we went straight into Logan then fighting, doing a wrestling match in Saudi for the US title. We had another video, so it was kind of non-stop. And then
100.
at the beginning of December, end of November, me and my girlfriend went to Rome, and that was a nice opportunity for me to completely just mentally like relax for a few days. So I don't think I ever think to myself I need to have a break, but when I do find those moments, like when we went to Rome, or like whenever I could sort of just chill with family, like over Christmas,
Yeah.
for instance, that's when I realized, oh, I actually needed to sort of chill out for a bit,
100%.
Yeah.
Speaking of high school lovers, you're not the only one who's a high school lover with my fiance. I've been with her 7 years this year. And we got a kid on our way. So
Oh
they
wow!
always say,
Congratulations.
so they all thanks to that. But yeah, they always say that. I've noticed that it's a cliche that school relationships never last, but it's lies because two people are doing it right now. You know what I mean?
It's all about it. It doesn't matter where you meet them. It's all about compatibility. You've got
And
to
you,
find somebody
literally
that
you
makes you
literally
a
just
better
know when it's,
person.
you literally just know when it's the one because it just clicks. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. Yeah, I agree.
So yes, coming back to the YouTube sort of thing, what got you into media and filmmaking and all that in the first place? Like, where did that initial idea of wanting to make films from, and just general media?
Good question. So being younger, I had a dad who is well, I still have a dad. He was a circus acrobat. He was a trapeze artist in the circus. So he had a very
And
unconventional job when he was younger. And my mom is somebody who sort of like just wanted an unconventional life. She moved to America when she was sort of in her early 20s, and she traveled and had a very unconventional life. So I knew I didn't want to do a conventional job. I knew I wanted to do something that
different.
was like a kind of different. And then I guess from a young age, like I just love being creative, whether that be music, drawing, or when I sort of got a camera for the first time and just going around filming, me and my sister just doing stuff. And then I remember, obviously, we're the generation. I'm assuming you're a similar age to me. I'm just 25 now.
Oh, I'm 19.
Where YouTube, you're 19.
Yeah,
Oh, you look older than 19, bro.
and I get told that a lot.
Yeah. So, yeah, we obviously we're part of the same generation where YouTube
Yeah,
became like a prevalent sort of thing, and
100%.
that's when I sort of started making like my own YouTube channels, like back when YouTube first started. I'm talking like 2006, 2007. None of them really went anywhere, but it was always just fun to just create things with my friends, with my sister and stuff. And I'd always have a fascination with the process of creating film. I don't know where that really came from. I just maybe like when you watch DVDs, for instance, and you sort
Yeah,
of watch the behind the scenes of how they're made, like it inspired me in a way creatively that nothing else really did. So I kind of was like, okay, this is a job that I'd really like to do. Yeah.
Sounds good. That's what I like to do. That's what I like to get to know because I feel like people just don't ask the right questions. It's always the same answer, same question, same answers. So I like
Hmm.
to get to know a bit more about the person because that's what I feel like is a problem in this sort of scene is people just ask the same for sort of things to the same person. It's not fun, not just
Yeah.
for the person you're interviewing,
No.
but for you yourself because you know it's not you're trying to be the same answer that I've given 10 times over. So it's you know what I mean it's nice to get to you know
I
yeah
had a
to
few
get,
interviews before sort of big cards like the Prime card and the
yeah
Misfits cards and stuff. And they would literally just ask me, they'd go through the card and they'd just say, who do you think will win out of these two? Who do you think will
oh
win out of
no
these two? Who do you think will win out of these two? And those kind of interviews, yeah,
boring.
it's hard.
Yeah, speaking of
Yeah, it's tough.
influencer boxing, is it more? Is it something that you would do in the future, like editor versus editor, or is it something you'd rather just do behind the scenes, sort of thing?
So it's funny because obviously, I've been asked this a lot. Um, and when I was sort of first asked, I remember thinking like potentially maybe because I'm really into fitness and I'd like the challenge of doing it. But then, now with Misfits, we see these events happen so much more frequently
Hundred
that
percent.
I've had the pleasure of seeing, well, I say the pleasure, the displeasure of seeing some of my close friends actually in there.
Yeah,
Halal Ham, for instance, Unbear, for instance, B Day, for instance, and to see like your close friends get battered and see the pain and stuff they go
100.
through after like training really hard, yeah, it made me realize I kind of don't want to do this, and also I don't need to do it. Like I'm very lucky to be in a situation financially where I don't need to like
Yeah,
it'd actually be a huge loss. I'd have to take time off work. I'd have to put a lot in to get not that much out really. So I don't really have a reason to at the moment. I'm not saying it would never happen, but the chances are very slim.
slim. Yeah, speak. I just it's just different because I don't think with editors as well they don't really get they just get known. They don't really actually get the recognition they deserve because you got to think without the editors, there's no videos. That's
I
what.
understand that, but at the same time, so with editors, this I may have a bit of a hot take on this, but sometimes I don't feel like editors really deserve recognition to the point of like being the front and center face of it. Like people don't need to recognize that. Like so, for big YouTubers, for instance, you don't need to know who their editors are because that's kind of irrelevant. Like for
Yeah,
me, when I watched YouTubers growing up, some of my biggest sort of people I used to watch was like Dave Days, Shane Dawson, the Shaytards, Shay Carl, people like that. I never knew who their editors were because it didn't matter. It felt like a relationship between you and the creator. Sometimes having the editor sort of front and center, it breaks that sort of connection that you have between you and that person. Yeah. So for me, it's like I try not to like put myself all over the place as being Logan's editor, like because it's kind of important to maintain that sort of like relationship between the creator and the audience.
hundred
You know,
percent.
like one of my biggest pet peeves, and I know I've got friends that do this in the editing scene, and you know, it's when they sort of like edit themselves in the video somehow. Where
Oh,
they sort of like will like it'll be them doing something or saying something. It's like for me, it just breaks the fourth wall a bit.
it
Keep
makes it
that.
not as natural.
Exactly. So going back to what you're saying about editors not getting the recognition they deserve, listen, the recognition is there in the money. Like, it's a job. I don't need to
Yeah,
be known. You know what I mean? That's a byproduct. And obviously, we live in a day and age now where the creator audience relationship is so strong that people do give a shit about the editors, and which is good. I mean, obviously, people like Mo, for instance, and Chip Fat have made careers and like make money on the side doing brand deals for being sidemen editors, KSI editors, whatever. But yeah, for me, I kind of just it's just not something that I like prioritize.
I like that because I think that's what I just said. It's quite a lot of editors in the scene do tend to try and involve themselves, even though it's not their place to do so, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not obviously anyone could do what they want. I just feel like when people sort of like try and inject themselves into the creators' videos,
Yeah,
it always feels jarring for me. I've never done it and I never will do it. You'll never see like a part of Logan's video where I will then appear in somewhere, you know what I mean? Like, and sort of break the fourth wall.
100%.
Or for anyone that matter, yeah.
From of course work. Who was actually? What was your best year in editing? What made you feel like you
Uh,
that it was that point that you knew was is going to be a longevity in it? Like it's just something you're going to actually stick to, and not just bits, just do bits and then bit bobs. You know what I mean? Just that you fully focused on it. It's going to be a full-time job.
so I first went full time straight after uni. So I was in uni when I first started working with True Geordie. It was I was coming to sort of the end of my second year, and I needed a job, and I was broke
Yeah,
because I was on student loans and stuff. And I had a friend who worked as a lifeguard in Blackpool, so that was my plan. I was going to do this lifeguard course. I was going to go to Blackpool for the summer. Sorry, and then I
it's
was
all
going to
right.
work as a lifeguard. And I did the course, passed the course, and I was really excited. I was on the train, literally on the train back to Blackpool to go and apply for the lifeguard position at my local gym.
Damn.
And then True Geordie put a tweet out saying, I'm looking for an editor to help me on a new series that I'm working on.
Yeah,
And I just replied with to the tweet with a link to the documentary that I made at the time on Afghan Dan. And just sort of put like a cut of a biopic documentary that I made. Anyways, didn't really think much of it. And then like about 20 minutes later, I'm still on the train. And then uh, Brian, who I was a big fan of, by the way, like during uni, especially first, second year, all I'd do is sort of watch their podcast.
yeah,
He DM'd me directly and he said, "Oh, great work," and then asking me sort of questions and stuff. And one thing led to another, and then I started working part time whilst I was doing my sort of final year at uni. So I never had to become a lifeguard. So yeah, I was just sort of working with Brian. We created a series together called True Life Stories. We made 2 episodes, Conor McGregor and Kanye West. And then I started working on the Kickoff, which is a football show they do. We
yeah,
created a show called True News, which was one of the most successful shows that I worked on. Obviously, continued the podcast. And then it got to the point where I was going back to uni for my third year, and Brian offered
yeah.
me,
A
do you
full
want to go
time.
full time? Do you want to do you want to sack uni off? And I was like, I've literally done every single year of education. This is my last one. I
It's
get a
literally yeah,
degree, and then exactly. So I kind of just thought, you know what? No, I'll stick. I'll stick with it. I'll get the degree out of the way, and I'll still do it part time. So I basically work full time, even though I wasn't technically full time on
yeah,
my third year of uni, because I knew, as soon as I leave uni, I've got a job I can walk straight into.
yeah.
I'm not going to be with
Totally.
my sort of like classmates who are worried about, okay, am I going to be able to find work after uni because that's what I'm going to have to do. I knew there was something there. I knew I was going to walk straight into a full time job. So it was a stressful year, my third year of uni, because I was obviously like trying to do my grad film
Yeah,
and all these different things, trying to do my dissertation, and at the same time trying to basically run the True Geordie channel with Brian and Lawrence and things. And yeah, and then I finished the third year of uni.
yeah.
And then Brian was like, right, here we'll make you an offer for a full time role. So then I was
Damn.
full time for about 3 years. For about 3 years, yeah.
So what would you say in not just in editing, but in general life? What would you say your best year was and why?
This past year, 2023, mainly because I felt like I had the most sort of creative freedom with everything
Yeah,
that I've done. I'm very lucky that Logan gives me a lot of creative freedom with things. That's a big one. Secondly, I made a Super Bowl commercial this year in this
of
very room,
course. Yeah,
which was like mind blowing to me. I was able to travel the world last year. I was able to go to Canada, America, Ireland, Italy, France, which is something I've always wanted to do but never been able to,
100.
like, travel to 5 different countries in the same year.
True.
Go to the Misfits events, which has been a lot of fun. You know what I mean? I'm very lucky to be given sort of the tickets to go to them. So been able to go to a lot of those, meet new people, new friends through the
Networking.
scene, and yeah, networking to it. Yeah, actually, because the thing is with this scene, it's not like conventional networking, like in other sort of media settings. It's actually
Yeah,
like just making friends is networking. So it's good in that sense. But yeah, I mean, I focused a lot more on my health because I was able to do that. Because like
yeah,
in sort of 2022, I only started working with Logan towards the end, like September, October. So I was still in sort of the new job phase where I
yeah,
was
yeah.
kind of just sort of like figuring everything out. I wasn't really on my feet yet. Whereas this last year, 2023, I was able to fully understand my role in the with the job, and you know, I was like super comfortable. So it's definitely been the best year, 2023.
Sounds good. Have you got anything that you want to let everyone know that possibly coming up, or just anything about you that we don't know yet?
Is there anything about me that people don't know? There's probably a lot. You know what? What's coming up for me? I don't know. I literally have no idea. I mean, in
It
terms of like
happens
the
when
public scene, I'm not too sure. I'm sorry.
it happens when it happens.
It happens when it happens. That's the thing. Like with Logan, like sometimes I don't know. Like for instance, last year in January, I didn't know. I had some friends around, like me and my girlfriend. Like we invited some people around to the flat,
Yeah,
and I didn't know that Logan was in the Royal Rumble until that night, until we saw the clip on Twitter. So like he's surprising me sometimes with things that I don't even know he's doing. So I kind of like that. I like spontaneity, you know.
100%.
But in
That's
terms of
what
things
life
that are coming up for me, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure.
happens when it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, thanks again for your time, bro. It's been good to get to know more about you and just everything leading up to this point, because I feel like people don't get to know people enough in this scene that it's just like it happens when it happens. So it's nice to actually get to know the people and just get more of a broad
Yeah.
horizon of the community.
No, no, it makes sense. Yeah, it's been good.
Andrew, bro, thanks for your time as usual.